Hey, I'm Dallas with Kirkpatrick Designs and Maplewood Hockey, here with a quick shift from Icethetics. Today I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 personal favorite Winter Classic jerseys. So the Winter Classic began back in 2008 when the Penguins took on the Sabres at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Since then, there's been an outdoor Winter Classic game every year with the exception of 2013 because of the lockout, and in 2021 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, there's been 24 different Winter Classic jerseys to hit the ice, and I'm going to give you my top 5. Starting with number 5, it's the Washington Capitals from 2015. This design for me kind of just speaks to what the Winter Classic is sort of all about. When you look at that jersey now in retrospect, it looks like a design that, if Washington was a team in, 1925, that's the jersey they would have worn. And that's sort of, to me, that's sort of the point of the Winter Classic. And it's not, it's not a complete retro throwback to what they wore in the 70s. This is, going back further to what would have been. And, just the shades of the colors they use the darker, more of a burgundy compared to their traditional red. And I just, that's one that really kind of just stands the test of time, and it sort of just encompasses what that's all about for me. So I really like that jersey. Number 4 is the St. Louis Blues from the 2017 Winter Classic. And the Blues are one of those teams that kind of fought the urge for a long time to go back to their retro color palette. And up until 2017, it had been a long, long time since they wore those colors. And for me as a retro fan, I think it was long overdue. And I just, those jerseys look excellent. They still look awesome, especially, since getting the Adidas treatment. So I'm a huge fan of those jerseys, and I would be one of those people that's on board for promoting those to the home. So I like those jerseys a lot. Number 3 is the jersey you see behind me, the Buffalo Sabres from 2018. This is one of those jerseys that I think is going to, unfortunately, kind of be forgotten over time. And the only reason is because in 2020, the Sabres released their new home and away kits, which are fantastic and some of the best in the league, in my opinion. And, those are a step further, and they're, pretty much unanimously praised. And this is kind of, to me anyway, the jersey that kind of kickstarted all of that, and testing to see if the fans really did want the royal blue back, and I think it's pretty evident that we did. But these jerseys on their own are excellent. As a Sabres fan, I bought one right away, and I love it. So I wanted to make sure that was included here because it's certainly one of my favorites. So number 2 would be the Chicago Blackhawks from 2019. So, Chicago, as everybody knows, is one of those teams that has participated in many outdoor games, and as a result, they have a lot of outdoor jerseys. And a lot of those, I feel, there's very few bad ones, but a lot of them are very, similar to what they wear home and away. Whereas in 2019, they kind of went back to the very beginning and that black and white, quote unquote prison jersey. And I think it looks awesome. I've seen very few people say negative things about it. And it's just one of those jerseys that it stands out so much in current day, and it looks excellent. And it would be a great alternate jersey for the Blackhawks. So I really like that one. Before I go to number 1, the grand finale, I'm going to give a couple of honorable mentions. So the first one would be the 2020 Dallas Stars. I really like that jersey, and I think one of the common complaints, I guess, would be the off-colored equipment. And I totally get what they're going for and making it more true to the times. It does look very much like it would have back in, the 1920s when the equipment didn't exactly match. I do think that in current day, it does pull away from things a little bit. So I do think that there's a few small improvements that could have been made there, but a very great jersey, especially for, a very southern outdoor game. So it was very impressed with the Stars. Another one would be the 2019 Bruins. And the only reason for me why that jersey doesn't make it into a top 5 is because the black version that came out shortly afterward is, in my opinion, a little bit better. I'm a big fan of that jersey. So, but this one is still a great jersey as well. And then the other one I wanted to mention was the 2016 Canadiens. The Canadiens are an original 6 team. They very rarely get to stray too far from their color palette, and they didn't in this case, but they did change the shades of the colors, and it's just a really unique look for a team that you don't see something different from very often, and I think it looks great now, and it would be a cool one for them to bring back, so I like that one as well. Grand finale, number 1, my favorite Winter Classic jersey of all time has to be the New York Rangers from 2018. That was the game that they played against the Sabres, which is the jersey that's behind me. That jersey to me is just, it perfectly encompasses what the Winter Classic is about. It's taking, a classic team like that, and the Rangers are one of those teams that has an extensive jersey history, but this is not a true throwback to any one of their previous jerseys. It's sort of a what could have been or what might have been in the past, and it looks so good, that there's almost nothing I would change about it, and it's going to be very tough for me personally to see that one usurped as the number 1 Winter Classic jersey, so I'm a huge fan of it. And I guess I just want to provide a little bit of insight. You might have noticed from my list, it tends to be very current. And I thought about kind of why that is. And I think that there's kind of 2 main reasons. The first one is that Adidas took over in 2017, as most of us know. I'm a huge Adidas fanboy. I love everything they do. I think that their design team has a finger on the pulse of what the Winter Classic especially is supposed to be. And as a result, I think that we've seen some of the best Winter Classic jerseys in the last couple of years here. So that's the first reason. The other one, I think, is just that the theme of the Winter Classic in general has sort of been more defined over time. Initially, in the first few years, you saw a lot of teams going back to a straight throwback of what the team wore kind of initially, whether it was the 70s or the 80s or whenever that team hit the ice for the first time, and which is, there's a lot of great looking jerseys, but I think what it's become in the last handful of years here is a look at what could have been for some of these teams that aren't 100 years old, that, and that Washington Capitals design is a good example, because that's, a team that wasn't around prior to the 70s, and, but that jersey looks like what Washington would have worn, back in 1920 or 1925, somewhere around there. So I sort of think that just the theme overall of the Winter Classic has sort of been defined, and that it's resulted in some really nice designs in the last couple of years. And it makes me really hopeful for the future too. Unfortunately, the Minnesota-St. Louis game that we were supposed to have seen this year was canceled because of the pandemic. And I think that when we do eventually see that, hopefully next year, that's going to be an excellent game as far as jerseys go. So I'm really looking forward to it, and thank you guys for listening.